The NCCA mission states, "We are an association of Christ-centered collegiate institutions whose mission is to use athletic competition as an integral component of education, evangelism, and encouragement." The impact of the NCCAA has been felt for 50 years throughout the country and around the world. Encouraging mission trips is at the heart of this impact. We know short-term missions impacts everyone involved and changes the trajectory of lives. Sometimes it can affect the missionary as much or more than those being served. Our Sports Ministry Fund has supported more than 5,000 individuals via domestic and international missions. We exist not only to crown national champions, but to share the love of Christ wherever it is needed.
At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce a great friend. And I know sometimes it comes across like we are backcountry buddies. You take that however you want. But Dan has become and has been a good friend of mine for years. In fact, when I used to be at Roberts Wesleyan College in Rochester, New York, it was at that moment when I was introduced to Dan through running of a national tournament and helping my good friend, Mr. Mike Farrell, run those tournaments for years together. And I was introduced to Dan's heart, his integrity, and his character. I stand before you today, now serving after one of his greatest mentor, outside of his parents, Dr. Keith Conner. And I've been able to follow in the footsteps of a legend at Southern Wesleyan. A lot of the reasons is because of Dan and the connections that he's had in my life, and the impact that he's had. I know that many of you can say the very same thing that I just said. He continues to dump into every one of us as if we're the most special person in the world. And that takes a lot of effort, but it also comes straight out of your heart. So that we are very thankful for. We're thankful for your leadership. Please welcome your Executive Director of the NCCA, Mr. Dan Wood.
I grew up in the South all my life. We're thankful after our 4-year mission trip to Marion, Indiana, to be back in the South. You got to understand, as a Wesleyan, we have to pass through there, right, Doc? It's Mecca, so we had to go through there. Many of you may not know that the NCCA national headquarters were in the old Wesleyan Church world headquarters in Marion, Indiana. Wherever Dr. May is, when Kelly worked there, they used to say they're not sure what's oozing out of the outlets in the walls. It's probably holiness. I'm not sure. I don't even know what backwood buddies are, Chris. So I will tell you this. He's right. If you don't know, this is prosthetic. So if you're over here waving at me, I'm not being rude. Probably. I can't see you. So, and that is the backwood story. We were, the year before I took this job, ICE took over the South the week of Christmas, 1999. And we were traveling home to be with family because my sister and her husband from Canada were finally going to be with us. And we were coming across. Truck driver stopped us in Little Rock, said, "You can't go any further. Interstate 40, you live in Bartlesville, Oklahoma at the time, is closed. You can't get across." I said, well, stubborn. And so we kept driving. We drove, if I remember right, Kelly can vouch, we drove about 12 to 15 miles an hour from Little Rock to Memphis. Nothing but ice and turned over semis. We get to Memphis, we get Highway 78. How many of you have ever drove in that kind of weather? You know how your arms get because you're clenched, you just don't realize it? I mean, my arms are cramping. It's about 4 in the morning, we've been on the road about 15 hours. Normally we would be home in the Carolinas. All of a sudden the light on our van comes on, and we're about to run out of gas. There are no pay at the pumps in 1999 in Jasper, Alabama, in case you remember. There was a one pump, one hole gas station. I pulled in, I go in, I said, filled up, I go in, this is when you could actually get gas before you had to pay for it. How about that, back when integrity existed? And I go in, and this young lady was about 4:15, I give her $30, I got $28 on your pump, not pump one, your pump. And she's staring the hole right through me. Yeah, right through the empty eye socket, because after being on the road that long, my prosthetic eye was dry and it's sitting in my pocket. She notices I'm staring back at her and she goes, "I am so sorry." I said, no, it's fine. I said, "Been driving all night. It's in my pocket." I start to walk out, but all of those who know me, and especially my family, wood humor just would not allow me to exit without it. So I walked back and said, "Ma'am," I said, "I apologize for stunning you. My eye in my pocket." I said, "But I was sworn. In Jasper, Alabama, at 4:15 on a Saturday morning, you've seen a one-eyed redneck before." Evidently, she hadn't. You need to understand, for those of us in NCCA, and I think I can speak, and I want to have them stand, because you didn't get to meet them Tuesday night as our delegates did. Our first executive director, E.C. Haskell, E.C. served from 1968 to 1989. E.C. stand, please. Dr. Barry May served from 1989 to 1997. And Rob Miller, stand up here. I know Fran's not here, but she told me to tell you to stand. And Rob Miller served, he was in the national office from 95 actually to early 2000, late 99. These are my mentors and predecessors. And I don't know that we've ever had 35, 36 of our institutional presidents together at our convention. And so I want to tell you, I think it's the first time in our history we've had this gathering. And I simply want you to thank my predecessors, if you will, at this time. And I want you to know that our staff, if this word's legal, is giddy to have you here. Literally. Because we've gone through the gym door for a long time, almost 50 years. And some of you will smile when I say this. A lot of our ADs are fairly sure they run your campus. We have dealt with those over the years. They see my predecessors smiling, but they don't. You do. You, your cabinet, your vice presidents, you're the leaders. You're the decision makers. You're the setters of the pace. And I just want you to understand from us, we are excited to have you be a part of this with us. From associate members to full members to NCCA only members or to a dually affiliated member, we are thrilled to have you here. And this is an opportunity that I'm simply going to try to remind us all of this. Some of you know NCCA, you're highly involved and know it from the presidential executive level. Some of you know a little, but as I found out at Shirley at CCCU in January, luckily you're not here, but they're not here. You're here, they're not. Two presidents came up to me to ask me what NCCA did. I said, "We're not familiar with it." I said, "Well, that's funny because your school's logo is on our membership banner." Yeah, I laughed initially too, and then I realized that has to stop. And I'm not blaming the president. I'm going to blame NCCA. We'll take ownership on that for now. The next time they don't, I'll put it on them. So this presentation, for the most part, is really introducing you to NCCA. Just the one you know, great. Just the one you don't know, that's even better. And if it's one you know a little and you learn, that's good. Our mission is simply this. We are committed to equipping student athletes and coaches to make a positive impact for Christ. There's a lot of key words there, but for me, the number one pop word in there is the word positive. As I watched the church and Christian colleges and this personal Christian make a negative impact for my Savior before. Fair? I've done that. I've been party to that. Judgmentalism, marginalization, hypocrisy, whatever you want to call it. A positive impact for Christ. And that, we all know, looks a lot different than a negative impact for Christ, I hope. You're familiar with athletic organizations. Many of you are dual members with us in the NCAA. You're going to hear it from me. You may not expect it. They're the best. That's the top. In intercollegiate athletics, there's nothing better. You know that. I know that. They know that. In sport and athletics, they are it. They're the brand. Ask ESPN. Ask the news media. Ask them. Ask the group of football coaches in schools that may leave the NCAA and create their own thing. And guess what? The basketball coaches will be right behind them, just so you know if that ever happens. But we know who they are. Many of you are dual members with the NAIA. Smaller, about 275 members. Actually, the oldest intercollegiate athletic association in the United States of America, founded before NCAA. A different group. Again, some of you are dually affiliated. In both cases, those associations give you what you have to have. A regular season structured conference to be a part of. Typically a geographical, sometimes missional, but in most cases, roster of sports are all linked up. You all have the same 9 or 10 or whatever. They do eligibility and compliance, digitally like a machine. I told the group yesterday, our office and NCAA's office on White River look exactly alike. We all have an address on the front of the building. They just happen to have about 17 of our offices located on the White River. It's a minutia. Attorneys. They've got more attorneys, I think, maybe surely, than I doubt that's floating around in D.C., but they have more attorneys than probably in Chicago. They are full of it because of the legality and all the minutia that makes up that. They do competitions, phenomenal, the kind that we like to watch. Anybody ever heard of March Madness? Anybody have ever heard of Clemson, South Carolina? We live 5 minutes from there. 6 of their coaching staff go to our church. I'm a Dabo fan, even though I'm Tar Heel blood. We're familiar with those things. They also do championships. That banner, their trophies look. If you've seen an NCAA trophy, you've seen the wood, the look. Familiar with that? You probably are familiar with these associations. Athletes in Action and FCA, two of the finest parachurch in athletic sports ministries that exist in our world. Athletes in Action in the professional and college realm are phenomenal. Phenomenal. FCA in the middle high school situations, summer camps are great. They've really re-drilled down. It's hard to get to all the high schoolers, the Christian high schoolers. So what FCA says, we're going to get to the coaches. We're going to get to the leaders, mentors, and these huddles and so forth. They do Athletes in Action, especially mission trips and sports ministry trips. They do devotionals, so forth. And they do what we would call Christian service projects, that is in giving to the community. They do all that. The one thing I want you to know is there's one association. You talk about what do you do that nobody else does. There's one association in this country that does all of what I've just shared with you. All of it. NCCA does eligibility and compliance, all in-house. Competition. We do championships at the regional, national level. We do championships that lead to awards, Scholar Athlete, Student Athlete of the Week, All-Americans, Coach of the Year. We will give out tonight the Game Plan for Life Character Awards to 2 students, 1 male, 1 female, 1 staff, 1 male, 1 female. We're the only one that does all this because the mission trips and the devotionals and CSPs are critical, but I want you to understand how it's broken up. Look at the top row. The top row is what I had to explain to BB&T when we moved in here in 2000, which is to become a client, and they were our banker. That's our business. What's the business? They didn't want to hear one word from me about what the ministry side was. What's the business NCCA does? And it's the top row. It's eligibility and competition and championship. And their answer, so you're a mini NCAA. Yeah. And then I was asked, are you the faith-based wing of the NCAA? And I fell on the floor. So I don't think they have one. And we're not. But we'll be glad to get some free space from them on the White River. I then made sure they understood this. The hill I'll die on is not the top row. The hill this association will die on is not the top row. I want our championships, some of your teams just finished in our World Series, our championships continue to get better. Venues get better. Award systems are getting better. Your players and student athletes and coaches are getting better. All of that top row stuff is improving. Ben Bellman, I don't know if he keeps out with others for lunch, but our compliance is getting better. But if we ever fail to not be excellent at the bottom row, I'll be gone. And my guess is most of our board will be gone and our current staff will be gone. We are called to do the Christ work, which is the bottom row. The tool and conduit we are blessed to get to use, because we happen to like sport, is the top row. And I want you to understand that from a standpoint that this all happens with a 6-person national office staff. That's why I wanted them to stand this morning at breakfast. The volunteers in the field are a critical mass to us, regional and sport level. So NCCAA does sports ministry. Our mission is real simple. We use intercollegiate athletics to serve the Great Commission of Christ. What's that mean? Anybody heard of Michael W. Smith? Michael W. Smith uses what to serve the Great Commission of Christ? Tim Tebow used what? Sport. We know him through sport. Culture knows him through sport. I love the story of a mom who wouldn't get an abortion and birthed him anyway on the mission field in that life. That story is awesome and his life. But we know him to the sport of football. We know him through an eye black with John 3:16 in it. Clear? Iconic. You may have ever heard of Truett Cathy. If not, did you hear Rodney Fuller this morning? Truett told me a real truism. That's what we called all Truett statements. I was at his house and had the pleasure of meeting him in Pine Mountain, Georgia. And I said, Truett, how would you start a Christian company like Chick-fil-A? And he raised his finger and he said, no, there's no such thing as a Christian company. Resonate on that. And I'm like, oh, I've always heard you work. He goes, oh, we're founded on Christian values. But I don't think come eternity, any company's going to have a soul check. Truism. He used a chicken sandwich. He used food to serve the Great Commission. We use intercollegiate athletics. What's that look like? We do sports. We joke, because our staff is phenomenal, but we opted not to change this yet. Come this year, that's 26. As we had men's volleyball invitational in January. It's an emerging sport within NCCA. We do 24 national championships. We do 2 now invitationals. The Victory Bowl football game and soon to be the men's volleyball. There's 70 regional championships that are the tracking mechanism to get to those nationals in most sports. Some sports, track and field and others, cross country, they're qualifying. You meet the times, you go, etc. But 70 regionals lead to 24 nationals. And let me tell you something. I have found not one time when that banner gets given out on that last Saturday afternoon in Eastern South Carolina, when Campbellsville University took receipt of a banner at our World Series, the 24th championship of this year, I want to tell you very candidly, the acronym on it did not matter. If it was NAI or NCAA or NCCA, they had won a national championship. I understand why it meant so much. 2 years ago in Mason, Ohio, 2 outs, bottom of the ninth, bases loaded, up 2 runs. A kid hit a ball that may not have come down yet to deep center from Oklahoma Baptist, and they lose in the bottom of the ninth on a walk-off grand slam. Last year, 1 out, tie game, shallow fly to center with a guy on third, catch, guns him out, you watch the video, the guy was out, except the guy with the umpire and the hat thing said he was safe. They lose in the bottom of the ninth on a sacrifice fly. It's sport. My brother and I play golf about 50 times a year together if we get a chance. And my wife knows one story. I'll come home, she said, what'd you shoot? We happen to be fairly good. Shot 69. Great. Another people shot 68. It's awful. I will go out 2 weeks later. What'd you shoot? 80. That's awful. No, people shot 81. It's perfect. Your student athletes live to compete. If it's on TV, I get it. But they live for the opportunity to compete because Christ put that in them. Whether they know that yet or not is up to you and your coaching staff and your school. Christ instilled in them a competition and a competitive fire. But look at the new highlighted word on the screen. Ministry. The monthly devotional is written by some of you. It's always our coaches, ADs, some of our presidents, or our staff. We generate these out. They flow the theme of the game plan for life character trait of that year. This year, ironically, the way the 50th, like God would do this, it's faith. What a great character trait for the 50th year of this association. So all the themes with that. Some coaches take that and they run with that for a month with their own teams. Some for a day. Some discard it. We don't know what you do with it when we send it to you. But we're going to put it out because that's priority 1 with us, that we do that and minister back to you. You've already heard of the prayer network. Eric is not here, but I think it's somewhere over 1,200 people now make up that network. Started by a gentleman board member named Dave Spillman, to some degree, who was on a flight with a guy who poured out his heart on a plane. Dave said, we'll pray for you and I'll get some friends to join me. And he called, he said, hey, can you and the staff? I said, we'll go better than that. We have a lot of emails. Before we call them spam, we'll send that. We have people all over this world praying now for each other. And some of you, raise your hand if you've ever been in the NCCA Prayer Network as the target. I got a hole in my arm where they flipped out terminal sarcoma. I'm supposed to be dead. Well, they don't know my God and the great physician. I cannot my wife can attest, we almost were overwhelmed by the sounds that our handheld device, laptop, cell phone, house phone made in the 24 to 48 hours after that prayer request went out. Over 713 contacts in 24 hours from this network. Let me promise you that matters. That's intentional with us. That's priority with us. Through our board, through our membership, through our coaches, but through people you're never going to meet until eternity that are in this together with you. Chaplains. Why do we do chaplains at our championship? It's real simple. Tom Roy has been doing baseball chaplaincy at our World Series for 27 years. Before we ever, I don't even know why he ever came. I don't know who invited him. Barry, E.C. Rob, maybe you, probably Hank Burke, which is my guess. And I kept watching. When I started this job in 2000, I witnessed him doing that for like 2 or 3 years. And I'm like, this is awesome. Awesome. But it didn't spark us to do anything. Actually, it did spark me to do something. I didn't do it. I guess confession is good for us all. 2004, I sat down at a Division II championship. We tried to do this thing called CSP. It wasn't an acronym then. It was just a cute phrase used as we rolled into the fall. Division II Women's Soccer Championship, Kissimmee, Florida. On Field 3 was a clinic that we had set up for 120 to 150 kids we were told would be coming. And 31 of them made it. I got 50 college students out there ready to serve them. We got more clinicians than we have kids. If you're thinking like I'm thinking, man, that's what a failure. Until Jaime Aguilar, 6 years of age, came and bothered the busy executive director of the NCCAA at a picnic table, and I was making my notes for the kickoff banquet that would soon take place. He said, "Are you Mr. Wood?" My answer was the same ever since my dad died. "No, I'm Dan. Mr. Wood's in heaven." He said, "Well, I want to tell you, I just accepted Christ." With a young lady from Baptist Bible College in the middle of Field 3 in Kissimmee, Florida. And I'll move on for speed of time to tell you CSPs will never, ever, ever leave the NCCA as long as I'm involved. That kid went on to Carson Newman and now sits in Fuller Theological Seminary studying for the ministry because of a young lady from Clark Summer, Pennsylvania, who'll probably never meet again until eternity, that shared a gospel soccer ball with him in the middle of Field 6. Now, from that emotion, do you have an idea what's priority one with NCCA? I didn't mention anything about who won the 2004 Women's Division II National Soccer Championship. And to be very candid, I can't tell you. I don't remember. Christian service projects, that's that explanation. Mission trips, 25 to 30 of your teams go annually. We simply come alongside. How does an association that only collects about $400,000 from its members give you $100,000 back in championship reimbursement this year and give another 40 to 50 away in mission trips? I'm going to ask our board to stand again. All of you, quickly, please. Every single member of our board. You're in the room, stand. Because all of these men and women standing represent about 100 more donors who don't really care about who wins titles, but they'll fund mission trips to NCCAA till Christ comes back. You can sit down. That's how we do that. I had a member say, "Are you giving our money away to people giving on mission trips?" I literally had an AD say that. I want to know, I'm not giving any of your money away. I said, "But I'm giving Terry Metzger's money away. I'm giving John Wheeler's money away for 30 plus years." It's priority one. Dr. Voss will recognize this. I had the pleasure of going to my son's commissioning service at Southern Wesleyan as a ministry student grad in Christian worship, leadership, arts, whatever that thing you created to change my kid's life. It wasn't even a major at that school. And that president, whose policy and catalog was not as important as one kid's life who happened to be in our bloodline, adds a major. That's why I love Christian higher ed. You can do that. Virgil Mitchell is an icon in the Wesleyan Methodist Church, the Pilgrim Holiness Church. Then they merged in 1966. They rolled the dice, which they didn't. Neither one gambled, and it became the Wesleyan Church. This man is an icon. Nicholson Mitchell Center is named for him, as well as Roy S. Nicholson. I never had seen this. I had heard my dad quote this one time when he was on the board. This sits in that building. I think it's in your conference room over in what used to be the kitchen. The future of the church, as has been its past, is intertwined with the future of its educational institutions. The mission of the church And the mission of, I'm going to change this, your colleges, our members, are inseparable. They rise, and they're going to fall together. When someone wants to tell me that Christian higher education is in trouble, I'm okay with that. Because I know everybody in this room is responsible, and I think willing at some point in time, with the confrontation with the Holy Spirit, to help fix it. It's not going to be fixed by buildings. It's not going to be fixed by board meetings and structures. I said it at the end of my session for the State Association. Our pastor, who is a crazy man, thank you, Chris, has ingrained in this one-eyed redneck. I have to stop acting like there's any time in my 24 hours a day that my number one priority and task is to make you come and see the Christ. Not make you, attract you to want to. You may not even know what I'm attracting you to. I may not even know I'm attracting you to Him. But my responsibility is to conduct myself that way. So faculty you're hiring, drawing, are they going to have a chance to help draw your students to Christ? I don't care how good their resume is, or their feet, academician. I really don't. There's a new program you're adding. Is it going to help draw people to come and see the Christ in some way or fashion? I don't care that your three rivals in the same zip code have it. I do care. That sounds callous. I care. I just don't care as much as I care. Is it going to draw people to come and see the Christ? Is that new sport? Is that AD? Oh, he played football at a Div 1 school. Everybody knows him. I just need to know if he knows Jesus. And is he going to instill that in every coach and compliance officer and staff member of your athletic staff? This statement tells me that if we will all collectively do that individually, guess what the next matrix is? Then it will happen. If you find on your campus, if you find Christian higher education to be failing, grab your leadership and go find a large mirror. Let's stop acting like it's this horrible culture that Scripture says is only going to get worse as we all live. Just read it. Not even the red words, all the black words too. It's not going to get significantly better. It gets so bad that God says, go get them. I've had enough. You've had a chance. You've shared the good news. Go get them. Until then, will you join me in making sure this statement remains true? That not your denomination, not mine, the church that Jesus Christ wants on this earth is intertwined with everything you do at your institution. I will promise you, with our current staff and our board and this executive director, that's exactly how we'll do it at NCCA. Thank you.